If you're kidnapped, what's your first move? Your first move is often to hide and call the police, hoping they'll track you down and save you as quickly as possible. This was the case for a brave young Korean woman who risked everything to make that call. Sadly, her story didn't have a happy ending. The Wu Yuan-chun case is a highly controversial case in Korea. This case brings to light a serious problem: the need for quick police action in emergencies. The police were slow to locate her, and this wasn't just a minor delay. It was a critical failure that led to a tragic result. This case emphasizes the vital need for law enforcement to respond quickly and effectively to emergency calls, underscoring the importance of improving response protocols to prevent such tragedies in the future. So today, let's talk about the Wu Yuan-chun case, also known as the Suwon murder case. Are you tired of endless spam calls, just like I am? I've reached a point where I don't pick up calls from numbers I don't recognize. It's so frustrating, right? Our personal information seems to leak everywhere online. So today's video has a solution for this problem. Aura, our sponsor. Aura gets the struggle with annoying robocalls and spam. The main issue is these companies, called data brokers, who sell your details, make you an easy target for these calls. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. It's such a hassle, but Aura does this smoothly for you. But there's more to Aura than just blocking spam calls. It acts as a full protective shield for you and your family against various online dangers. With Aura, you don't need several different apps for things like keeping your kids safe online, protecting your computer from viruses, securing your internet connection, managing your passwords, and more. Aura brings all these features together in one simple, affordable package. Let Aura take care of your online safety so you can enjoy life without worrying about spam and online threats. Head over to my custom link, aura.com/darkasia, and take advantage of a 2-week free trial. Give Aura a try and reclaim your online peace of mind. This case was pretty controversial back in 2012. All for bad reasons. The murder itself was gruesome, but how the police handled the case caused a really high sense of frustration for the people. So let's all go back to the day this bizarre murder happened. On the evening of April 1st, 2012, at 10:50 p.m., the Gyeonggi Provincial Police Agency's 112 Center received a distressing call from a young woman in her 20s, identified as Kwak.
경찰입니다. 말씀하세요.
네, 여기 목걸놀이터 전에 집인데요. 저 지금 성폭행 당하고 있거든요.
목걸놀이터요?
네, 목걸놀이터 전에 집인데 어느 집인지 모르겠어요.
지동이요?
네, 청초등학교 좀 지나서 목걸놀이터 가는 길쯤으로요.
선생님 핸드폰으로 위치 조회 한 번만 해볼게요.
네.
저기요, 지금 성폭행 당하신다고요?
네네.
자세한 위치 모르겠어요?
She reported being assaulted by an unknown man. The call was dire. Kwak, her voice quivering with fear, alerted the police of her kidnapping and sexual assault by this unknown assailant. She explained frantically but couldn't pinpoint the exact location. And despite her distress and the urgent situation, the police fixated on clarifying the exact spot. She mentioned being near Chidong Primary School, yet the police's response was ridiculously slow. Instead of tracking her location through her mobile phone, the police repeatedly questioned her about the ongoing assault, why she couldn't give an exact location, and kept circling back to the same points: Motgol Playground, Chidong Primary School. They even inquired about the identity of her assailant, to which she responded she didn't know, and she pleaded for swift action because the man could return any minute. When she informed them that she had locked the door, they asked if she had locked it herself. A question that seemed irrelevant in this urgent situation. She affirmed she had locked it when the man momentarily left. And bizarrely, the police instructed her to inform them if he returned. The situation escalated terrifyingly when the sounds of the door being forced open and Kwok pleading with this man were audible over the phone.
들어갈 때 다시 한 번만 알려줄래요?
잘못했어요. 아저씨 잘못했어요.
여보세요. 주소 다시 한 번만 알려주세요.
And shockingly, the police, still failing to grasp the urgency of the situation, asked again for the address. Turns out the police were on the line, listening to the victim's screams for a whole 6 minutes before they hung up. And at the end of the call, the police were recorded saying it sounded like just a married couple fighting. Can you believe that? So what happened that night? Wu was just heading home from a store, finishing up his errands. We're not sure if he was drunk or not, but one thing's clear. Wu's got a short fuse. On his way back, he bumped into a woman by accident. She said sorry right away, but Wu didn't take it well at all. He started threatening her, completely ignoring her apology. Things got really bad. Around 10:30 p.m., Wu became furious and dragged the woman to his apartment, not too far from where they were. She tried to fight back and escape, but Wu was too strong and got her into his place. Once there, he tried to assault her. The woman, Kwok, fought back hard. About the neighbors hearing all this, yes, they did, but they didn't do anything, thinking it was just a couple fighting. They later said they thought it was a private matter and didn't want to get involved. Back in the apartment, Wu kept trying to assault Kwok, but he couldn't. Frustrated, he went to the bathroom. Kwok grabbed her chance and trapped him inside. But stuck in the locked apartment, she had no way out and called the police, hoping they'd come quick to save her. After the line got cut and the call ended with the sound of a struggle in the background, let's talk about what Wu did next. Frustrated because he couldn't assault this woman, he grabbed a wrench and hit her multiple times on the head, then strangled her to death. It's still a mystery if he did what he did next after she died, but this subsequent actions are truly shocking and hard to believe. Wu spent the next 6 hours cutting the body of the woman, not just into 2, 3, or 6 pieces. He chopped the body into around 280 pieces. He only stepped out at 5 in the morning to buy plastic bags from a nearby grocery store. The clerk there mentioned Wu wanted a large black plastic bag, but they only had blue ones, so he bought them. Now, you might wonder, how did he get so much time to commit this crime? Shouldn't the police have arrived much sooner? Incredibly, the police located Wu's apartment only 13 hours after the emergency call. When they broke down the door, they caught Wu in the act of putting the bloody body parts into the blue plastic bags. There were 14 bags, all filled with human remains. It's heartbreaking to think that if the police had acted faster, she might not have ended up in such a horrific state. The police had to rely on the Fire and Disaster Management Center for GPS tracking to locate this man. At the time, the police didn't have the authority to track locations themselves, but still, taking 13 hours to find him just doesn't seem right at all. According to Wu, the victim was alive for 6 hours, even after the phone call ended. Even if she died at 1 a.m., as the police claimed, it means she was alive for at least 3 hours. The National Forensic Service stated that if she had dinner around 8 p.m. and was kidnapped at about 10:30 p.m., 2.5 hours later, and if she was murdered at 5 a.m., the next morning, as Wu claims, the stomach should have been empty. But digestion can be delayed under severe stress. This implies there is a possibility she was alive. The criminal was caught dismembering the victim's body with a whetstone for sharpening knives beside him. It suggests he repeatedly sharpened the knife to continue his actions. Forensic experts who examined the remains were deeply disturbed by the condition they were in. In typical murder cases, 2 to 3 forensic experts performing an autopsy is the norm. But in this case, because of the severe mutilation of the body, it is known that 14 people were involved in the autopsy. It was reported that the extent of mutilation was so severe that it was impossible to conduct a test for signs of sexual assault. Ultimately, they had to rely on the killer's statements. An emergency responder who witnessed the crime scene was reportedly unable to eat properly for 2 days because of the impact of this incident. This reaction, from someone accustomed to confronting all sorts of gruesome situations, indicates the extent of the brutality involved. Wu was immediately arrested at the scene. The prosecution investigated for other possible crimes, but had not confirmed any additional offenses. Wu Yuan-chun, a man of Chinese-Korean descent, was born in 1970 in Xiangguang Village, Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region of China. After graduating from elementary school, he worked in agriculture. He entered South Korea in September 2007 on a work visa and had been working as a construction site laborer for about 4 years until his arrest. It was revealed that he had a wife and a son in his home country, and he regularly sent money to his family in China. From October 2010, he had been living in Suwon, Gyeonggi Province. Wu's personal life remains largely a mystery. Neighbors knew him as a quiet, solitary man who often stayed in his apartment or drank alone. The discovery of magazines and images with naked women in his apartment suggests he may have had sexual frustrations. After this tragic incident, Kwok's family pushed for a deeper police investigation. The precise manner in which the body was dismembered led to suspicions of Wu's involvement in human or organ trafficking. There were theories that he planned the murder to sell body parts to China, but these remained unconfirmed because of his inconsistent statements. The investigation ended without clear conclusions about his motives. The community was horrified by rumors that the murder was part of a scheme to harvest human flesh. This was compounded by the shocking revelation that capsules and pills made from human flesh were circulating in the country. The Customs Service had seized almost 30,000 such capsules over a year, smuggled as health supplements since August 2011. The actual number in circulation is believed to be much higher. Human flesh pills were also found being sold in a traditional Korean market by ethnic Koreans from China. The misuse of these capsules, mistakenly believed to boost skin and overall health, is alarming. Investigations revealed they contained hepatitis B and numerous harmful microbes. Given these findings and the severity of the case, the police took the trafficking theories to court. Wu's confession was both shocking and infuriating. He claimed that on the night of the crime, he was just in a bad mood. It's hard to comprehend how someone could go from being annoyed to committing such a cold-blooded murder and gruesomely mutilating the body without any sense of guilt or humanity. The trial moved quickly. Just over a month later, the Suwon District Court sentenced Wu to the death penalty. They also ruled that if he were ever paroled, he must wear an electric anklet for 30 years. The court strongly stated that Wu's actions were violent and sinister, showing no remorse. His method of murdering and attempting to dispose of the body went far beyond a simple bad mood. Furthermore, the court acknowledged that there were reasonable grounds to suspect Wu's involvement in the sale of human body parts. First off, when the police searched his apartment, they found a saw and various knives in different shapes and sizes. Next, they noticed that Kwok's body had been cut into almost uniform pieces, as if there was an effort to keep it all neat. And finally, it came to light that Wu had phone records between December 2011 and February 2012, which he had deleted without giving any explanation. Alright, so Wu was initially given the death sentence, which seemed fitting. But a few months later, in the appellate court on October 18, 2012, Wu Yuan-chun's sentence was reduced to life imprisonment. This was because the human flesh provision theory, crucial in the original death sentence, was not sufficiently evidenced in the appeal. The court concluded that despite the dismemberment of the body, there was no definitive proof that the motive was to provide human flesh. This whole case sparked massive media outrage towards the police. Their failure to rescue the woman and the perceived lack of effort in handling the case severely damaged their reputation. It left many people questioning their trust in the police and wondering if those tasked with public safety were truly committed to their duties. It's baffling how, with all their resources and authority, the police couldn't save a woman after receiving such specific details about her situation. The police faced contradictions in their statements as well. They initially claimed that the emergency call from the woman lasted only about a minute, but it was later revealed that the call actually went on for around 7 minutes, during which the woman's struggles and pleas were clearly audible. Another point of contention was the police's response to the GPS tracking. They said they dispatched officers to the area indicated by the GPS, but they ended up circling within a 400-meter radius of the cell tower location where Kwok's phone was traced, not the specific location she had provided. They did not inspect dark houses and didn't use sirens, worried about disturbing the residents. American female profiler Pat Brown, in an email interview with the local media, criticized this approach. She said she would have used the sirens and thoroughly searched the nearby houses, prioritizing saving the victim's life over the inconvenience to residents. This inadequate response led to widespread backlash, not just from native Koreans, but also from Chinese Koreans who didn't want to be associated with this man. Many felt the punishment was too lenient, as Wu could live out his days in a cell. The victim's family was deeply affected too. They sued the state for compensation, arguing that the mishandling of the emergency call led to the failure to rescue her. In 2014, the Seoul High Court ordered compensation, but the family appealed for a more comprehensive ruling. In 2016, the Supreme Court sided with the family, and in 2017, the Seoul High Court increased the compensation amount. But no sum could compensate for their loss. The public outcry over this case led to significant consequences, including the resignation of National Police Agency Commissioner Cho Hyun-ho. The victim, enduring financial hardship, walked over 1 kilometer home to save on taxi fare that last night of her life. She came from a modest background. Her father was a day laborer, her mother worked in a restaurant, and she herself had to juggle work and study, eventually graduating from a regional vocational college. Despite the challenges, she was devoted to her family, often sacrificing her needs to support them. Her tragic loss was not just a personal tragedy for her family, who now struggle with immense grief and sleepless nights, but also a profound loss for the community, who mourns the untimely passing of such a kind and selfless individual. It's deeply tragic that an innocent life was lost to a deranged individual, compounded by the authorities' failure to respond effectively. Our hearts go out to the victim's family in their quest for closure. We hope they find the peace and justice they so rightly deserve. And to the victim, may she rest in peace. Thanks for watching.